Hello, good morning students. Here Sonu sir with a new video of class 8 SST, and we are on conclusion of chapter 5 Arts and Handicrafts during colonial period. And in that our today's topic is growth of modern industry. So as this word is there, if you see growth, in the growth that means vikas, modern means agni or new. So as we discussed students, by the exploitation and heavy taxes levied on our farmers and peasants by British and decline of industries that they tackled or captured our business by taking and purchasing raw materials in less price and selling their product in their country in high price, and after finishing their products they were selling their products at high prices in our country. So after taking our raw materials in less price, they again selling on they are again selling their products on high prices, which was our products as raw material. So this was exploitation in the name of mercantilism by British, and by the time passes they captured all type of industry of India. But students, there was a conflict and challenge between Indian industry and British industry. Both industries were working at the same time in our country, but the condition of British industry was better than the condition of Indian industry. But despite of all these reasons, Indian industry also started growing, and in that if we see the major profit was of First World War, and in First World War the British force had to go for fight. So that time the Indian industry grown more. So students, in your course book page number 59 and our topic growth of modern industries. So during the second half of the 19th century, India industries began to grow despite British reluctance. These were the reasons that contributed towards the growth of modern industries in India. During the time when the indigenous industries began to decline, famines broke out which added to the misery of the craftspersons and artisans. The British were forced to initiate the establishment of industry in order to deal with the situation. The Famine Commission of 1880 and 1901 recommended that the revival of Indian industries would help in achieving economic stability. So after taking good position as economic status in India of Britain or British was rigid and strong, and by that we were in the hand of exploitation and all economy was in hand of British. But at the time of famine, there was a famine. If you see the meaning of famine, that means akal or sukha. So students, there was a famine, and by that the agricultural condition and at the same time all local industries declined. That is why British had to pass a commission, and the name of commission was the Famine Commissions of 1880 and 1901 recommended that the revival of Indian industries would help in achieving economic stability. So students, economic stability was not as good as it was, and that is why to make economic stability British passed a commission. There was a Famine Commission of 1880 and 1901. By that, revival of industry was the main concern. Revival of industry. It was discussed in Famine Commissions of 1880 and 1901. What is revival? If you see in Hindi, Punaruddhar. That is Punaruddhar. So students, revival of industries was in concern of famine commissions of 1880 and 1901, and the Indian National Congress pressurized the British government to help the craftsperson and artisan who lost their sources of income. And in that famine, as we know from 1885, Congress has been established, and it was also being in favor of Indian peasants and farmers. So congressmen pressurized to the British government that they had to pay and they had to help or secure those farmers or those peasants who haven't secured any grains or crops in the time of famine, in the hard time. So by the pressure of Congress, the British also agreed to help farmers in the time of famine or akal or sukha. And students, the British established the Imperial Department of Commerce and Industries in 1905 to support the development of industries in India. And then British realized that we can't survive only with the men of British and with the labor of England and Britain and the machine of British and Britain. If we want to survive successfully, we have to support Indians and have to seek support of Indians that we can easily survive our industries because of the Indian finished raw materials. Without that and because without the economical help of British, so both situations was there, and they understood that we have to be mixed up and we have to be assist each other, and then the industry started growing, students, because it was the common concern that everyone has to be on capital or money. So that is why they agreed on the common platform and started common things at the time of hard and good. And in that, so the British established the Imperial Department of Commerce and Industries. This department support the development of industries in India, and it was set up in 1905. And student, the demand of the Indian National Congress to use Swadeshi products also helped in boosting up the process of Indian industrialization. So students, as we know, machine goods and machine made products were easy to come in market or to supply or to make available in market because it was fast in production. But handmade products or local industries were in problem. So that is why Indian National Congress urged or demand for all Indians that to make Swadeshi products. Swadeshi, it is Hindi word. Swadeshi means product of our own country made product which is manufactured in our own country, because before that Britishers took our raw materials of cotton or silk or anything in their own country, then finished their product and sold to us in high price. That is why we exploited. So Indian National Congress thought that we have to make our product in our own country, that we can earn more profit in selling. So they started Swadeshi movement, and in that they urged and demanded that make more and product in our own country. The two world wars strained both the British and Indian economies. Setting up the industries was seen a solution for earning revenue and improving both the economies. And students, two world war was there, and these two world war drained or decreased the economy of British mainly, and India also, because that time India was in the hand of British. And students, to boost the economy, to forward or to survive the economy or to increase the economy, British acquired some system. And what was that? The two world wars in both the British and Indian economies. Setting up of industries was seen a solution as for earning revenue and improving both the economies. So that is why after two world wars and famines and all expenses, economy of Britain or India was lost. So to regain that economy, they thought that only the industrial revolution or industry establishment of industry in India can increase the growth of economy. So that is why they support Indian government and Indian economy. So, thus India witnessed the emergence of modern industries gradually. Industries were mostly owned and controlled by the British, and only few were owned by the Indians, although they did not get much support from the government. So, British started their industry at high range for high revenue collection, and mostly the investment of industries was mainly of British. Few Indians were also there in industry, but they were not supported as so as British were, and that is why the Indian economy becoming start of going in the hand of British, and by that we lost more and more. Then students, then our topic is cotton textiles. So students, machine-based industries were first set up in second half of the 19th century in India. I'm talking, and cotton textile industry was an important machine-based industry. The first cotton textile mill was set up in Bombay in 1854 by Kowaji Nanabhai Dawar. Around 100 mills were set up in Bombay by 1900. So it was started in 1854. The students in before 1854 in India, totally it was handmade fabrics and clothes. But after 1854, we started machine works on textile or cotton, and we started some cotton machines factories in Bombay, and up to 1900, 100 mills was in Bombay, and then at a later stage mills were set up in Ahmedabad and Kanpur. During the First World War, the Indian textile industry was the world's fourth largest producer of cloth. So after the time passes, the factory established in the mill established in Ahmedabad and Kanpur, and during the First World War we were on the fourth position as the largest producer of cloth. High excise duty was imposed on cotton textile in 1892, which made the Indian mills suffer great losses. But what is excise duty? If you see in word body, tax levied on the sale or production for sale of goods. So excise duty, it was excise duty. If somebody wants to do business of sale or production of any kind of product, he or she has to pay excise duty. And this excise duty was levied more and more and was increased more and more. By that, our mostly Indian peasants or Indian factory owners had to suffer more and more. Then it was cotton textile. So British used all system to exploit our countrymen, and they used this excise duty, high excise duty, that only British can do easily that industry business. Then it was the topic of cotton textile that we lost mainly. Then in iron and steel we talk. The legendary sword of Tipu Sultan holds a special place in Indian history. Students, iron and steel industry we are talking about. The legendary sword of Tipu Sultan holds a special place in Indian history, which is known for its superior quality of carbon steel called good steel. There is a word, carbon steel or good steel. What was this and that? Student, the legendary sword of Tipu Sultan holds a special place in Indian history, which is known for its superior quality of carbon steel called wood steel, capable of penetrating an armor. So what is carbon steel? If you see in word body, steel in which carbon is the main alloying element. What is alloying? Alloying means mixed element. Alloying means mixed element. So student, if we talk about carbon steel, so that means steel in which carbon is the main alloying element. So there is element of steel, but if we talk about the mix element and assist element and alloying element or sub element, so that is carbon. So with mixing of carbon with steel, it becomes harder, and as it is also known as wood steel. capable of penetrating an armor. So what is penetrating? Piercing through. So cut an fighter and to cut someone is against of him like Tipu Sultan. So if so it is very known in history about the sword of Tipu Sultan. So why it was so famous? Because it was of steel mixed with carbon. Okay. So this type of steel was manufactured in southern India. Tipu Sultan was ruler of Mysore, nowadays Karnataka. So this type of steel was used in southern India, and we see wood steel was manufactured in smelting furnaces where iron and charcoal were mixed together and ingots were made. What is smelting furnaces? That means furnaces where iron is produced. So this steel also has been produced where iron has been produced, and where iron and charcoal were mixed together and ingots were made. What is ingots? Blocks of metal. So by mixing iron and carbon, okay, by mixing iron and charcoal, there was ingots, that means blocks of metal, and which were used to make swords. And by that blocks of metal which is mixed with charcoal and steel, so by that metal we used to make sword. So that charcoal is carbon. So by the mid 19th century, the production of steel in India nearly came to a halt because the British started importing iron steel from Britain. So like cotton and silk and oil industry, in iron and steel industry also, British started importing iron steel from Britain. So what they did, firstly their own steel and iron was sold in India, then our product was in sale. So that is why our iron steel factory also declined. Under the industrialization policy, the first iron steel plant, Tata Iron Steel Company, TISCO, was set up in the banks of river Subarnalekha and Jamshedpur by Jamshedji Tata. But there were some Indian owners of factories who started their factory in all despites and all hard situation and harsh condition. And in spite of that, our Jamshedji Tata started a factory in Jamshedpur near Subarnalekha river bank, and the name of company was Tata Iron and Steel Company, that means TISCO. And this was followed by setting up of many more iron and steel factories in Bengal and Mysore. And by this, it was starting off iron factories in India, and simultaneously in Bengal and Mysore, these factories established. And after that, our topic is jute industry. Calcutta was the main hub of jute industries. The first jute industry was established in Risra, Bengal in 1855. By 1887, there were 20 jute mills. Jute became a major item of export. By 1945, there were more than 85 factories operating in Bengal, which provided employment to more than 3 lakh people. So students, if we talk about jute industry, so Calcutta was the main hub of jute industry, and then first jute industry was established in Risra in 1855. It was also in Bengal, and there were around 20 jute mills, and jute became the major item of export also. By 1945, there were more than 85 factories operating in Bengal, which provided employment to more than 3 lakh people. So after the iron and textile industry, after Jamshedji Tata and Jamshedpur, we talk about Bengal jute factory. It also emerged as a growing economy, and in that 3 lakh workers was working in 20 jute mills. And after that 85 factories were operating in Bengal. So it also emerged as a economical product. Then our next product is sugar industry. The first sugar factory in India was set up in Uttar Pradesh in 1903, followed by another one in Maharashtra. So it is also a general knowledge question. First sugar factory was in Uttar Pradesh in 1903, then in Maharashtra in 1919. Soon more sugar factories were set up throughout India. And if we talk about tea industry, commercialization of agriculture resulted in growth of tea plantations. Large scale production of tea was started by East India Company in the early 1820. Mani Ram Dewan was first Indian tea planter, and the first English tea garden was established in Chabua in Assam in 1837. So So students, commercialization of agriculture resulted in growth of tea plantation. So by the time passes, British and Indian both realized that without commercialization of agriculture, Indian revenue or economy will not be exceed or increased. So that is why they started commercial agriculture, and in that agriculture of tea has been remarkable often. So students, commercialization of agriculture resulted in the growth of tea plantation. Large scale production of tea was started by East India Company. So East India Company personally started tea production in 1820, and Mani Ram Dewan was the first Indian tea planter, and the first English tea garden was established in Shabua in Assam in 1837. So if we talk about Indian tea planters, Mani Ram Dewan was first Indian tea planter, and first English tea garden was established at Shabua in Assam. In 1837, the three major regions for tea plantations were Assam, Bengal and the Nilgiris. So students, these were the places where tea were mainly produced. So in today's topic, we have been concluded growth of modern industry up to tea industry. In next topic, we will read further from page number 61. Now there is a homework. There is a homework of activity. The tea industry employs a huge workforce and is an important contributor to the nation's economy. Collect newspaper clippings about the contribution of the tea industry towards the Indian economy during the last 5 years and the number of female workforce employed at present in this industry. So this is your homework, students. If there is any query, you can ask my number. Until then, have a nice day. Thank you. All the best.